dive into something a little unexpected. Lure coursing, but with Cane Corsos.
Oh, yeah. It's kind of funny when you think about it, right? We always picture those sleek sighthounds.
Rabbits and whatnot.
Exactly. But there are actually a bunch of breeds that can do really well, and Cane Corsos definitely have that prey drive.
Yeah, so we're talking about tapping into that instinct,
Mm-hmm.
but got to make sure it's safe with a breed that's, not exactly built like a whippet.
Right.
So what are the big things to think about with a Cane Corso and lure coursing?
Well, safety's got to be the first thing, no question. Before you even think about getting on a track, you have to look at your dog.
Like actually assess them.
Yeah, how fit are they? How old are they? What's their temperament like?
Right, because Cane Corsos are powerful,
Exactly.
but they can overheat pretty easily.
That's right. So managing that is going to be super important.
So no puppies zipping around on the course.
Probably not the best idea. And temperament is huge too, right?
Yeah, it's not just about being physically capable. It's got to be a good fit for them mentally.
Exactly. You want a dog that's calm, confident, loves to run and chase. But honestly, rock-solid obedience is absolutely non-negotiable.
I can see that, especially with a dog that size.
Think about it. A Cane Corso, mid-chase, those muscles driving them forward,
Oh, yeah.
you need to know without a doubt they'll respond to your commands, like right away.
That's a powerful picture. Okay, so for those of us listening whose Cane Corsos tick all the boxes,
Right.
how do we even get started? Because this seems like a pretty intense activity.
It is. But it's like anything else you start with your dog. It's all about taking it slow and being super positive.
Reinforcing the good stuff.
Exactly. You want to make sure they feel confident
Hmm?
and that it's fun for them.
So no tossing them into the deep end on day one.
Nope.
How would you actually go about introducing this gradually?
You can actually start at home. Just use a toy on a string like you're trying to mimic that lure movement.
So getting them excited about that chasing idea.
Right, exactly. And then once they're into that, you can introduce the actual lure, let them sniff it, check it out,
Without the machine going.
Of course, yeah. Got to make it a positive experience.
So then they get used to that prey before things get real.
Right. Then you can move on to the course. But start slow. Just short, straight runs. Maybe let them watch some other dogs go first.
Yeah, see how much fun it is.
Then definitely use a long lead for those first runs just to be safe.
I bet it's quite a sight to see them in action.
It is.
All that power and grace chasing after that lure. But with all that enthusiasm, are there any challenges that come up specifically with Cane Corsos?
Oh, yeah. Definitely got to keep a few things in mind.
Like what?
Well, they can get really excited by the chase, right? So impulse control becomes super important. You need to be able to handle that.
Make sure that you don't get carried away.
Exactly. And that's where that leave it command we talked about is crucial.
So it's about channeling that excitement, making sure it doesn't turn into an uncontrolled sprint.
That's it. You're teaching them to hit the pause button even when they're super amped up. Like imagine playing fetch and they get all wound up. You want them to wait patiently, not just bolt off.
Makes sense.
It's having that off switch, even when their instincts are going crazy.
That's super important, especially with their prey drive on high alert. But I'm thinking all those bursts of speed, those sharp turns, that can't be easy on their joints.
You're right about that. It can be tough on their joints. So you got to build up their endurance slowly. It's like an athlete training for a marathon.
Right.
You wouldn't just throw them into the race.
No pushing them too hard too fast.
Exactly.
Okay, so anything else specific to Cane Corsos and lower coursing we need to be aware of?
Well, we talked about excitement and physical exertion, but can't forget about them overheating.
Right, with all that muscle and their short coats.
Right, so it's best to go during the cooler parts of the day.
Makes sense.
And always have tons of fresh water ready. We have to be really careful about watching for signs of heat stress.
So it's a lot more than just letting them loose on the track.
It is. You have to be really attentive, especially with temperature.
Yeah, being a responsible Cane Corso owner means being extra careful.
Absolutely. And, remember, these dogs were originally bred for guarding livestock.
Right. Strong and powerful.
So their build is awesome, but it also means we have to think about their limits in certain activities.
Okay.
Lure coursing can be great, but we got to be smart about it.
Really understand their needs.
Yes.
I see that now. So what about official competitions? Are all those events open to Cane Corsos?
That's a great question. And it's where things get a little tricky. Some events, the ones that are really focused on racing, might only be for sighthounds.
Oh, so a Cane Corso might not be able to compete in every single one.
Yeah, that happens. But don't worry, there are plenty of fun runs or all-breed events that welcome all kinds of dogs. It's all about finding the right fit for your dog.
And even if you can't compete, Just doing the activity can be a blast.
Absolutely. Just watching them go for it, using their instincts, it's so rewarding.
It really does sound like a lot of fun. But before we move on, I'm curious about equipment. We've talked about safety, training, all that.
Uh-huh.
But do we need to adapt the actual equipment itself for a dog as strong as a Cane Corso?
You're thinking ahead. That's good. We definitely need to consider the durability of standard equipment.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What are the key things to watch out for?
Well, picture this. A Cane Corso, full speed, hitting those turns,
Oh.
all that power and momentum, it puts a lot of stress on the equipment.
So you're saying we might need heavier duty gear?
Yeah, standard lures, the ones made of plastic or fabric,
Mm-hmm.
they might not hold up. You might need something tougher, like bite-resistant rubber or reinforced fabric.
And what about the line itself? Does that need to be special too?
Definitely. It needs to be strong enough to handle those sudden pulls. A standard nylon line might work,
Okay.
but some people go for braided rope or even steel cable.
Wow, for extra security.
Exactly. It all depends on your dog's strength.
This is where experience really comes in handy, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. Working with someone who knows lure coursing and larger breeds, it's a good idea.
They can help you figure out the right setup.
Exactly. And they'll make sure the course is safe for a powerful dog like a Cane Corso.
This has been so helpful. I feel like I'm already getting a better grasp on all this.
Good to hear it.
But I'm definitely curious to hear more about actually getting started on the course. What are those first steps we take? And how do we set our Cane Corso up for success? Okay, so we've got our Cane Corso. They're ready to go. Temperament's good. Obedience is solid. We got the right gear. We're ready to hit the track. What now? What are those first steps, and how do we make sure they have a good experience?
It's all about starting slow, really slow. Think of it like a little kid trying a new sport.
Right.
You wouldn't throw them into a big game right away.
No, you start with the basics.
Exactly. You want to build their confidence and make it fun before adding any pressure.
So how do you actually introduce it to them slowly?
You can start with just short runs, straight lines, maybe even just part of the whole course.
Okay.
That way, they get used to chasing the lure, but it's controlled. And that's where the long lead is super important.
Ah, okay.
You can keep them safe, prevent any sudden moves, and make sure everyone's okay.
So it's all about building a positive association with the whole thing, right?
Yes. The lure, the course, everything. You want them to understand the game and feel good about playing it.
What if they seem kind of hesitant at first?
It happens. Some dogs are unsure about the lure, the machine, the whole environment. It's normal.
Yeah, just let them figure it out at their own pace.
Exactly. Let
Yeah.
them sniff the lure, get comfortable. Don't rush them into anything.
You're too forcing them.
No way. What you can try is letting them watch other dogs run first.
Like a demonstration.
Yeah, seeing their buddies having a blast can be really encouraging. Dogs learn from each other all the time.
Makes sense. So they're like, hey, if they're having fun, maybe I should try it too.
Exactly. And remember, positive reinforcement is key here.
Okay.
Every time they look at the lure, take a step towards it, every little chase, praise them, give them a treat, make it a party.
So even if they don't do the whole run right away, we're celebrating those small wins.
You got it. You want to build their confidence slowly. As they get more comfortable, you can make the runs longer, a little more challenging.
But we're always watching for cues from our dog.
Always.
Yeah.
What are some signs that maybe we need to take a break, slow down a bit?
Because I imagine, even with all the prep, things can get a bit much, especially with a Cane Corso.
Oh, for sure. You have to pay attention to their body language. A wagging tail, bright eyes, that excited look.
Those are good signs.
Those are great signs. But if you see them panting a lot or slowing down, or if their tail drops and they look unsure,
Time for a break.
yep, even if they seem like they want to keep going, you have to be the one to say, okay, we're done for now.
You got to look out for them.
Exactly,
Or-
with their advocates, right?
Mhm.
And honestly, it should be fun for both of you. If it's getting stressful, it's time to rethink things.
That's a good point. It's a team effort. So what if, after all of this, our Cane Corso just isn't into it? We've done everything right, but they're just not feeling it. What then?
Then you gotta accept that lure coursing isn't for every dog. Just because it works for some Cane Corsos doesn't mean it'll work for all of them.
That's okay.
It is. There are tons of other ways to keep your dog active and happy.
So we explore other options. Find something that fits their personality.
Exactly. The goal is to find what you both enjoy, something that makes you closer, not just checking things off a list.
I love that perspective. It takes the pressure off. So what are your thoughts on lure coursing for breeds like Cane Corsos that aren't the typical dogs you see doing this?
It's interesting, right? Lure coursing started with those sighthound breeds.
The ones built for speed, yeah.
Right. But the cool thing is, it's changing. It's becoming more open to all kinds of dogs.
So it's getting more inclusive.
Exactly. People are realizing that any dog can enjoy this.
The physical exercise, the mental challenge.
It's all about tapping into their instincts, giving them an outlet for their energy, and making that bond stronger.
It's cool to see people challenging those old ideas about what breeds are supposed to do.
I agree. It reminds us that we should never underestimate any dog, no matter their breed.
Who knows? Maybe a Cane Corso will be a lure coursing champion someday.
Anything's possible. The
Yeah.
future of lure coursing is wide open, and I think it's awesome to see how it's changing.
I'm with you there.
Yeah.
Okay, this has been super insightful, but I want to make sure our listeners know where to go from here. If they're interested in trying this with their Cane Corso, what do you recommend?
Best place to start is by finding local dog clubs or training facilities, places near you. A lot of them have intro sessions or classes just for beginners. They can give you great advice, specific tips, and make sure everything's safe and fun.
So getting that hands-on guidance is key.
Especially with a Cane Corso. It makes a big difference.
What about connecting with other Cane Corso owners who do lure coursing?
Oh, that's a great idea. That sense of community can be really helpful. You can share stories, tips, and support each other.
It's amazing how something like chasing a lure can bring people together.
It's true. Okay, so this has been an awesome conversation. It's not just about lure coursing. It's about thinking differently about our dogs.
And how we can help them thrive. So before we go, I want to leave our listeners with something to think about. We talked about adapting lure coursing for Cane Corsos.
Right.
But what if we went further? What if we designed a whole new sport just for them?
Ooh, I like where you're going with this. What are you thinking?
A course that combines agility, strength, endurance, all showcasing their power.
I love it. Jumps for their height, tunnels for their size, obstacles that make them think.
Yes. And maybe incorporate their guarding instincts, like herding or protecting an object.
That's brilliant. Make them navigate a course while guarding something, testing their focus, their agility. It would be amazing.
And team challenges, multiple Cane Corsos working together using their pack instincts.
Oh, the possibilities are endless.
It's amazing what can happen when we challenge our assumptions and embrace what makes each breed unique.
Absolutely. And it all starts with being open to exploring, to learning, and to finding new ways to enrich the lives of our dogs.
This deep dive has been fantastic. It's been a real eye-opener. And on that note of exciting possibilities, it's time for us to wrap things up. It really does feel like we've just, touched the tip of the iceberg here.
For sure. We get so focused on those traditional dog sports.
Right?
But when you start looking at what makes each breed special,
Yeah.
that's where the real fun begins.
And it all comes back to that bond we have with our dogs, wanting to see them happy and doing what they were meant to do.
You got it.
Yeah.
It's about finding those things that make their eyes light up, that bring out the best in them, and that makes our connection even stronger.
So true. Whether it's lure coursing or a walk in the woods or something completely new.
Yeah, exactly. It's about those moments of pure joy, just you and your dog.
Okay, so before we get too sappy here,
Right.
let's talk practical stuff.
Yeah.
For our listeners who are now thinking, okay, I want to try lure coursing with my Cane Corso.
Yeah.
What's the most important thing you want them to take away from all this?
I think the biggest thing is to approach it with a sense of adventure. Be ready to learn. And more than anything, really understand your dog. What are they capable of? What do they need?
It's not just about saying, this looks fun, let's do it.
Right. You got to think, is this right for my dog?
Yeah.
Physically, mentally, the whole picture.
And be ready to adapt along the way. Put their safety first.
Exactly. Because at the end of the day, the joy comes from that shared experience. The challenges, the wins, you're in it together.
It's about those moments, where you just connect with your dog and you're a team.
Exactly.
And who knows, maybe someone listening will discover a whole new passion.
Oh, right.
Maybe they'll be the ones out there showing everyone what Cane Corsos can really do. Maybe they'll even create the next big dog sport.
Wouldn't that be something?
It would. And for those who are still thinking it over, just remember, there's something out there for every dog and every owner.
That's the beauty of it.
So keep exploring, keep learning, and keep those tails wagging.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Well, that's about all the time we have for today's deep dive. It's been a really fun one.
It has.
And we want to thank you all for listening.
Thanks for joining us.
If you want more info, check out the show notes for links to resources, clubs, and all that good stuff.
Lots of great info there.
So until next time, keep those paws moving, those minds engaged, and those hearts connected.
Yes.
Happy chasing, everyone.
Happy chasing.